In the vast expanse of space, the starship, Eclipse, embarks on a mission that brings humans and a curious alien named Krill together. Fascinated by human resilience, Krill witnesses them surviving extreme conditions and adapting in unimaginable ways. When a galactic war erupts, the ethical dilemmas of pushing human limits surface. Will you discover how far humanity can redefine survival? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. Aboard the human spacecraft, Eclipse, a sprawling vessel forged from rare alloys and cutting-edge technologies, Krill, an alien medium from the distant planet Drakmor, finds himself in the midst of an unknown expedition that promises to unravel the mysteries of the universe. Krill stands at nearly 7 feet tall, his lithe form covered with bioluminescent patterns that shift colors based on his emotional state. His eyes, large and dark, glisten with endless curiosity and depth. As a medium from Drakmor, Krill possesses the ability to communicate telepathically and sense the energy of other beings, a skill that has made him a revered figure among his people. Despite his advanced abilities, Krill is drawn to the enigmatic nature of the human species. Humans are beings who have continuously defied logic with their capacity to endure and adapt under the most extreme conditions. The allure of understanding these resilient creatures propels Krill to join the crew of the Eclipse, where his journey of discovery begins. The spacecraft, Eclipse, itself is a marvel of human ingenuity, crafted with sleek, reflective surfaces that gleam under the endless starlight. The vessel's corridors are lined with advanced life support systems and communication arrays, and the air thrums faintly with the hum of its powerful engines. The crew, a diverse assembly of humans, moves with a sense of purpose, their unified goal evident in their coordinated actions and mutual respect. Among the crew is Captain Jake Thompson, a robust and seasoned leader in his mid-40s. With a weathered face and piercing blue eyes that reflect years of spacefaring experience, Jake commands respect effortlessly. Beneath his stern exterior lies a compassionate leader whose primary concern is the well-being of his crew. His presence instills confidence and order, essential traits in the unpredictable expanse of space. Krill's initial days aboard the Eclipse are filled with a mixture of awe and perplexity. He observes the humans closely, his senses attuned to their every move, hoping to decipher the essence of their resilience. However, one particular behavior leaves him profoundly puzzled: the act of sleeping. To Krill, who hails from a species that enters periodic states of heightened meditation rather than sleep, the image of humans lying motionless with eyes closed evokes an eerie semblance to death. This unsettling sight stirs a deep sense of unease within him, prompting a cascade of questions about the very nature of life and death among these earthly beings. Intrigued and somewhat perturbed, Krill dedicates his time to studying the sleeping humans, his mind racing with possibilities. The concept of sleep as a necessary biological function is foreign to him, eliciting a sense of dread that challenges his understanding of existence. In his world, sustenance through meditation is a controlled and conscious process, a stark contrast to the vulnerability he perceives in the human's dormant state. As an external observer, Krill experiences a peculiar form of dissonance. The crew of the Eclipse exhibits an extraordinary blend of vulnerability and strength, a paradox that fuels his fascination. He grapples with the paradox, seeking to comprehend how these beings who appear so fragile in slumber can yet display unparalleled resolve when awake. His investigations lead him to the brink of a revelation, teetering on the edge of understanding a fundamental aspect of human existence. The ship's advanced medical bay, a pristine environment filled with cutting-edge technology, becomes a focal point for Krill. Here, He observes the crew undergoing various medical and psychological evaluations, each procedure adding layers to his evolving comprehension. The medical bay's sleek surfaces gleam under the artificial lighting, and the array of diagnostic equipment hums softly, its steady rhythm a testament to human ingenuity. Amid this exploration, Krill crosses paths with Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's chief medical officer. Dr. Vasquez is a woman of striking intellect and unyielding determination. Her dark hair is often tied back in a neat ponytail, and her sharp eyes gleam with the promise of knowledge. She embodies the very essence of resilience that fascinates Krill, her calm demeanor and precise actions a testament to her expertise in the field of medicine. Her interactions with Krill are marked by mutual curiosity and respect, as both seek to understand the other's perspective on life and survival. One day, as Krill observes the crew at rest, he interacts with Dr. Vasquez, expressing his concerns about the state of sleep. With a gentle smile, she explains the necessity and restorative power of sleep to human health. Her words are laced with a sense of acceptance that baffles Krill. How can one so easily embrace a state of vulnerability? This interaction leaves him with a profound sense of wonder, prompting deeper contemplation about the true nature of human resilience. Despite the reassurances from Dr. Vasquez, Krill's mind remains ensnared by unease. The sight of the crew sleeping continues to haunt him, each motionless form a stark reminder of mortality. Over time, his apprehensions evolve into a belief that something must be wrong. The quiet intervals of sleep stand in stark contrast to the constant vigilance required in his own culture, where beings must remain perpetually alert to the ever-present dangers of their harsh home planet. This underlying tension reaches a tipping point one fateful night. Krill, unable to contain his growing anxiety, ventures into the ship's core command center. The vast room is illuminated by the glow of multiple screens, each displaying various data streams and star maps. The soft hum of machinery is a constant backdrop, and the atmosphere is thick with the weight of unseen dangers lurking in the infinite expanse of space. Krill's hands shake as he manipulates the ship's communication panel, his bioluminescent patterns shifting from a calm blue to an anxious orange. His decision is made. He will notify the crew of the perceived danger. With a deep breath, he activates the ship-wide alarm. The siren blares through the corridors, a stark cry of emergency that echoes through every corner of the eclipse. Panic ensues almost immediately. Crew members spring from their quarters, eyes wide with alarm, their movements swift and disoriented. The emergency lights cast a red glow on their faces, heightening the sense of urgency. The chaos is palpable, the air charged with confusion and fear. Krill stands at the center of it all, his own heart pounding as he struggles to reconcile his actions with the cascading consequences. Amid the turmoil, Captain Jake materializes on the bridge, his voice a firm anchor in the storm of panic. "Krill, stand down," he commands, his tone a mixture of exasperation and authority. As the ship's systems respond to the override, the siren is silenced, leaving only the heavy breathing of the crew in its wake. The silence that follows is deafening, a stark contrast to the intensity of the previous moments. The captain's eyes, though stern, hold a flicker of understanding. Krill approached the cabin quarters of the Eclipse with an air of authority veiled under his alien curiosity, but felt an unsettling mixture of sensations as he scanned the human quarters. A strange energy emanated from the closed doors, almost as though the ship glowed with life in places Krill couldn't quite comprehend. It was his second week on the Eclipse, and the sense of novelty had not yet worn off, replaced instead by a morbid fascination with the creatures he was studying. As he wandered through the faintly illuminated corridors, his eyes caught sight of several humans in their sleeping quarters. To him, they appeared motionless, their bodies lying vulnerably on soft beds. Krill tentatively observed through the glass panels, his frown deepening. The humans, with their eyes closed and faces serene, resembled the dead. For Krill, a being whose race did not sleep but merely entered states of deep meditation or stasis, this resemblance triggered an alarm within his psyche. Panic rose in Krill like a tide. Could it be that during their travels through endless celestial voids, an unseen calamity had struck, extinguishing their lives? This possibility was unthinkable but seemed to be the only explanation. Swiftly, he reached out and activated the emergency alert system, which resonated through the ship with piercing alarm bells and flashing red lights. The reverberating sound jolted the entire crew. Captain Jake, grizzled and seasoned through years of space exploration, was roused hastily from his sleep. He marched to the bridge, his mind racing to assess the emergency. The crew, disoriented and startled from the alarm, scrambled from their quarters in various states of half-dress, their expressions ranging from confusion to exasperation. Krill remained frozen, staring at the eerie tableau of what he perceived to be a mass fatality scene, expecting the crew's varied attempts at resuscitation or repair of their own. But instead, the humans, clearly very much alive, began grumbling, casting puzzled glances toward the corridor where Krill stood. It was Captain Jake who first approached him, his stern face highlighted by his threadbare spacesuit and the legacy of numerous battle scars borne like medals on his worn visage. "Krill," Jake's voice was a rumble of controlled patience. "What's going on here?" Krill's compound eyes blinked in rapid succession, betraying his internal turmoil. "Captain," he uttered haltingly, "I believed the crew had perished." They lay motionless, resembling the dead. A smirk worked its way to Jake's face, quick as a flash of lightning before disappearing into the authoritarian calm. "Krill, it's called sleep. Humans need it to restore energy, consolidate memories, and perform various physiological repair processes." Sleep. The word formed a knot in Krill's mind, unraveling all his preconceptions. The notion was alien to him, utterly beyond his comprehension of existence. He felt exposed, humiliated even, as the initial misunderstanding colored his perception with shades of deep self-doubt. Back in his quarters, drowning in the dim blue bioluminescent glow that characterized his species' living conditions, Krill wrestled with his thoughts. He employed his meditation techniques but could find no solace in them. Was it truly possible he had misjudged humans this drastically? How much more did he not understand about them? These thoughts plagued his mind, gnawing at his meticulously cultivated intellect. The next hours saw Krill wandering through the medical bay, seeking solace in scientific data. The more he delved into human biology, the more he marveled at these beings, veins etched with endurance and resilience. Yet, understanding the necessity of human sleep was only the beginning of his journey into the labyrinth of their existence. Unbeknownst to Krill, Captain Jake and the ship's doctor, Dr. Elena Parks, convened to discuss the incident. Dr. Parks, her fiery red hair bound in a strict ponytail, exuded an air of composed confidence, quick-witted and insightful. Her sharp features often softened during moments of empathy, but tonight her steely resolve matched Jake's grave expression. They knew they had an alien on board who, though friendly, was fundamentally unacquainted with the most basic of human functions. "Jake," Parks began, analyzing the recent events with a clinician's detached precision, "we need to better acquaint Krill with our physiological functions. His misunderstanding about sleep is indicative of a larger knowledge gap." Jake sighed, rubbing his temples. "You're right, Elena. We'll need to develop an orientation program. It's dangerous if he continues to misinterpret our functions, potentially leading to panic and chaos as we just experienced." Meanwhile, Krill sat in the observation deck, his gaze fixed upon the distant stars. The cosmos, usually a symphony of harmony to him, now felt like a discordant cacophony. Humans needed sleep. It was life-affirming for them. This revelation sparked profound questions about their fragility and strength, a dichotomy he couldn't yet reconcile. From this point onward, Krill committed himself to a rigorous study of human behaviors and biological imperatives, delving deeper than ever before. He shadowed the daily routines of the crew, observed their meals, their communications, even their disagreements. The nuances of their interactions were a rich tapestry, each thread contributing to the bigger picture of what it meant to be human. The technological marvel of the eclipse was both a sanctuary and a crucible for its inhabitants. The corridors, with their steel-plated walls and intermittent holoscreens displaying critical ship metrics, seemed almost clinical. Yet, within the cold, harsh geometry of their metallic home, the crew injected vibrant bursts of life. They adorned their quarters with personal memorabilia, photos of loved ones, and eclectic artworks reflecting their diverse backgrounds. Captain Jake, once a starship engineer, showcased mechanical constructs he'd assembled over years, relics of past explorations, each with stories woven into their metal. Dr. Parks, on the other hand, indulged in an extensive collection of alien flora, meticulously categorized in glass terrariums that adorned her quarters, a small Eden within the ship's confines. Determined to avoid such misunderstandings in the future, Jake and Dr. Parks convened a series of educational sessions aimed at unveiling the complexities of human necessities to Krill. They detailed the mechanisms of sleep cycles, the mysteries of REM and NREM stages, and the restorative magic of slumber. Krill attended these sessions diligently, absorbing each laid-out fact with a scholar's eagerness. Yet beneath the surface, Krill's mind spun intricate webs of intrigue. If something as crucial as sleep was alien to him, how much more was cloaked in the enigmatic shadows of human behavior? The incident ignited a burning question within him. How could he reconcile the seeming frailty of humans with their unparalleled adaptability and resilience? This paradox nested deep within his mind, a puzzle that urged him forward, pushing the boundaries of his understanding. Krill's mind was a storm of conflicting emotions as he wandered through the sterile, metallic corridors of the eclipse. The blare of the emergency klaxon still echoed in his elongated ears. How could he have mistaken sleep for death? It was a blunder that deeply shook his confidence in his own knowledge. Resolved to better understand these mystifying creatures, Krill threw himself into his studies with renewed vigor. His quarters were a cluttered array of holographic data management nodes, each constantly updating with streams of information from the vessel's medical logs. From the comfort of his levitating chair, Krill absorbed data with an intensity that spoke of an unquenchable thirst for understanding. But nothing could prepare him for what was to occur next. The ship's medbay, usually a haven of clinical efficiency and calm, had transformed into a whirlwind of movement. Whispers of a terrible incident had spread like wildfire through the ship's grapevine. An innocuous routine maintenance had resulted in horror when a high-tensile, automated gantry arm malfunctioned and released a sharp metallic rod, impaling crew member Private Hector Stannard through his right eye. Hector, a burly man in his 30s with a genial disposition, suddenly found himself at death's door. The rod, now a grotesque metallic intruder in his skull, caused catastrophic brain damage. In the ensuing moments of chaos, the emergency medical team, led by Dr. Felicity Neal, a diminutive yet incredibly stoic figure, worked against time to stabilize him. She was a veteran of numerous space crises, and her calm, collected demeanor always seemed to bend the tide of fate. Krill stood at the doorway, multiple eyes widening in horror and bewilderment. The sight of Hector on the operating table, barely clinging to life, made something in Krill twist painfully. Amid the whir of high-tech surgical devices, Krill couldn't help but think that this event would inevitably mark the end for Hector. Contrary to Krill's expectations, Dr. Neal and her medical team worked with precision and efficacy that bore testament to their training. Using an array of sophisticated tools, from neural regenerators to molecular scalpels, they managed to extricate the rod, halt the hemorrhaging, and re-stabilize Hector's vital signs. In the following days, Hector lay unconscious but with a faint but steady pulse, a living enigma. To Krill's astonishing disbelief, Hector didn't just survive, he began to show signs of cerebral activity faster than any recorded medical precedents. Krill, now haunted by the shadow of his recent error in judgment, couldn't allow himself to believe it without data. He isolated himself in the medical bay's observation deck, scrutinizing every scrap of information the machines could provide. Specialty scanners revealed the extent of the brain damage and the repair. Krill pored over data detailing neurogenesis, synaptic activity, and cellular regeneration. It was incomprehensible yet undeniable. Hector's brain cells were repairing at an accelerated and, seemingly, controlled rate. It was as though Hector's body refused to succumb to traditional human frailty. Driven by unyielding curiosity, Krill sought answers directly from the ship's AI, Artemis. The AI, an aloof but highly sophisticated entity, provided detailed logs on human biology and their remarkable, albeit inconsistent, regenerative capabilities. According to Artemis, the phenomenon of rapid neural recovery was rare but documented, often attributed to a combination of genetic predispositions and the body's innate will to survive. The very essence of humanity's enigmatic resilience was laid bare before Krill. The captain too made frequent visits, concern etched on his normally reserved face. Captain Jake, a commanding presence with a weathered yet determined look, shared with Krill insights on human strength, a blend of stubbornness and the innate refusal to concede. The days stretched into a week, and Hector regained consciousness. His eyes, previously dark and lively, now glinted with new technology, a biomechanical integration that had replaced the lost eye. The organ interfaced seamlessly with his cognitive functions, providing Hector not just vision, but enhanced focal acuity and data processing capabilities. Krill studied Hector post-recovery, probing him cautiously with questions that skirted the edge of invasive curiosity. Hector, ever amiable, answered patiently. Despite the trauma and the alien device now part of his anatomy, Hector retained his humanity, joking, laughing, and displaying the baffling range of human emotions. Nevertheless, at night, as the crew of the Eclipse slept and the stars outside the portholes whispered of the endless expanse, Krill found himself haunted by questions that gnawed at his understanding. If humans could overcome such grave injuries, where did their resilience end? And why was it coupled with such profound fragility? These thoughts intertwined with the image of Hector, not merely a survivor but an exemplar of human adaptability. It made Krill ponder the boundaries of life and death, wonder if these factors were less natural law and more a state of mind. His report to the consortium back on his home planet would be filled with reverence for human resilience. As the ship moved closer to its next grim destination, a war-torn sector inhabited by the Drevs, Krill couldn't shake off the tension that had settled over the Eclipse. This enigmatic adaptability of the crew would soon be tested in ways even science might struggle to understand. His final report on Hector's astonishing recovery was penned with meticulous care. The data was painstakingly detailed, from the precipitating injury to the astonishing post-injury enhancement. However, the report also contained Krill's swirling doubts and a touch of awe, a hint that perhaps he was standing at the precipice of understanding not just humanity, but life itself. The corridor lights dimmed as Krill made his way to his quarters. The murmur of the ship's engines was the only comfort in the sterile silence. Questions rang through his mind with unerring persistence, queries that craved answers yet seemed to swell with the boundless mysteries of the universe. The ship drifted onwards, carrying with it the heavy gloom of uncertainty and a resurgence of hope embodied in the enigmatic resilience of its human crew. The journey was far from over, and as private thoughts melded with the night's stillness, Krill realized that the true test of understanding these baffling creatures had only just begun. He clutched his recorder close, ready to document every unforeseen twist and turn that lay ahead in their daunting voyage. The cold vastness of space sprawled endlessly, its silent infinity disrupted only by the fierce battles waged among the stars. The Eclipse was a lone beacon of hope in this chaos, its hull gleaming with the secrets and strengths of its human crew. However, their solitude was short-lived. An ominous presence drew near, the dreaded Drevs, an intergalactic race known for their ruthless conquests and near invulnerability. The Drevs were a formidably advanced species, their technology far surpassing that of many known civilizations. Their arrogance stemmed from the perception that no race could rival their might. As the Eclipse continued its journey, the Drevs intercepted with a fleet that blotted out the starlight, their ships looming ominously. The initial scans revealed a dread-inducing armada, equipped with weapons designed to obliterate civilizations. The message from the Drev commander was simple: surrender or face annihilation. The crew of the Eclipse had faced numerous challenges, but none matched the scale of what loomed ahead. The Drevs had fought humanity before, often underestimating their adaptability and resilience, but this time, they planned to eradicate any glimmer of human resistance. Captain Jake convened an emergency meeting in the war room, a holographic display revealing the swarm of enemy vessels. It was a room pulsing with tension, the faces of the officers etched with determination and fear. Krill, standing at the edge, felt the weight of the looming confrontation. His previous experiences with human resilience, already astounding, now seemed insufficient in the face of such an overwhelming foe. The plan forged was ambitious, a desperate gamble rooted in the extraordinary adaptability of the human race. Engineers and medical personnel worked in unison, unveiling the latest advancements in bioenhancement technologies. The days of preparation transformed the crew into formidable hybrids of flesh and machine. The idea was to catalyze human biological regeneration to unprecedented levels, making them not only recover but evolve through the traumas of battle in real time. As the Eclipse took its position, the silence was shattered by the roar of engines and the thunder of energy blasts. The battle began with blinding bursts of light and deafening explosions. The Drevs, initially confident in their superiority, were meticulous and calculated in their onslaught, their weapons cutting through spacecraft and defenses with ease. But the humans had prepared for this. The battlefield was a tapestry of chaos, with the Eclipse and its fighters weaving through enemy fire. Each explosion, each wound, was a test of the enhancements that had been integrated into the crew. In the midst of the turmoil, injuries were rampant. Limbs were severed, torsos pierced, and yet, something miraculous occurred. Injured humans, once thought incapacitated, began regenerating before the stunned eyes of their enemies. Severed arms grew back reinforced with biometallic components, eyes replaced with enhanced optical modules, allowing for superhuman precision in targeting. It was a grotesque ballet of flesh and machine, each fallen soldier rising more formidable than before. Krill observed with a mix of horror and awe. These transformations went beyond any genetic or technological adaptation he had witnessed. It wasn't just recovery from injury but an evolutionary leap with each regenerative cycle, turning casualties into warriors unmatched in speed and strength. The battlefield itself became a laboratory of human potential, each engagement pushing the limits of their physical and mental capacities. The Drevs were unprepared for such relentless opposition. Each tactical advantage they gained was swiftly countered by human ingenuity and the terrifying prowess of their apparent immortality on the battlefield. Fear began to seep into the ranks of the Drev forces, a concept alien to them as they had never encountered such an unyielding and evolving opponent. But the cost was immense. The pain and trauma the human soldiers endured couldn't be measured merely by their physical scars. Their minds, though enhanced to handle greater stress, bore the weight of continuous near-death experiences. The war room aboard the Eclipse became a sanctuary of despair and hope, filled with the resolute faces of those who knew they were humanity's last line of defense. Ethical dilemmas gnawed at Krill. He saw humans willing to endure infinite pain and suffering to protect their kind, a stark contrast to the Drevs, who saw victory in subjugation and destruction. What drove these creatures to face and embrace such torment? Was the fertile ground of human consciousness ripe with a potential that transcended ordinary sentient experience? These questions dwelt heavily on his mind, but there was no time for conjecture, only survival mattered now. Amid the most intense phase of battle, Krill's focus was drawn to Lieutenant Ren, a decorated officer renowned for her strategic acumen and bravery. Just hours before, she had taken a direct hit, her body consumed by flames as her fighter tore apart. Emerging from the wreckage, her form was reconstituted almost phoenix-like, her limbs replaced with experimental armor that made her faster and virtually indestructible. Her mind, however, displayed the marks of each agonizing death she had endured. Ren led the charge against the main Drev battlecruiser, her resolve unwavering despite her numerous resurrections. Her presence galvanized the human forces, propelling them forward in a synchronized assault that none would have believed possible. The Drevs, witnessing their strongest ship being assaulted by a supposedly vanquished enemy, began to crumble from within. The tide of the battle had turned, with the Drevs' own arrogance becoming their downfall. Krill watched through the visors of his station, the tendrils of his mind barely comprehending the spectacle before him. Calls for retreat resonated from the heart of the Drev fleet, a sound never before heard in their storied history. The Eclipse, with its ragtag band of evolved soldiers, had accomplished the unthinkable. They forced the Drevs into a full retreat, breaking the will of a seemingly invincible opponent. But the victory was bittersweet. The humans, though alive and victorious, bore the hallmarks of their brutal transformations. Captain Jake, with wounds that were still mending, stood reflective at the helm. The flicker of stars against the backdrop of the battlefield was a reminder of the vastness yet to be conquered, and the untold mysteries still lying in the dark corners of the universe. Krill, now deeply contemplative, realized that the human spirit's ineffable drive, something far beyond mere survival, needed further exploration. The ethical implications of their regenerative tech haunted him. They had won, but at what cost to their humanity? Even as he processed these thoughts, patches of darkness in the distance hinted at further ominous challenges. The aftermath left room for reflection, but no respite for the weary. The horizon held new threats, and before the Eclipse could chart a course forward, they had to reconcile the haunting transformations of their most recent victory. Conclusion and life lessons. In the quiet aftermath of the Galactic War, the corridors of the Eclipse echoed with the footsteps of its resilient crew. The ship, though battered, continued its voyage through the cosmos, witnessing the subtle dance of celestial bodies. The ordeal with the Drevs had left scars not just on the ship's hull, but on the very souls of those who fought. Yet, it was within these very scars that Krill saw the true nature of human strength. The concept of resilience had always been theoretical for Krill, a series of physiological responses that his kind could study but never deeply understand. But here, living amongst humans, he had witnessed an extraordinary tapestry of life and death, struggle and survival. Each battle, each hardship, had not just been lessons of the body's capacity to withstand but tales of the spirit's indomitable will. Krill often found himself in the ship's infirmary, observing the recovering crew members. Here, the true miracles of human adaptability were laid bare. He watched as they laughed and shared stories, their faces lit with an inner light that seemed to grow brighter in the face of adversity. The very essence of their being seemed to react to challenges in ways that were inexplicably profound and inspiring. One of the crew members, Lieutenant Sarah, became a focal point of Krill's observations. She had suffered a grave injury during the battle. A part of her leg was severed. For any other species Krill had encountered, such a loss would mean permanent debilitation or even death. But Sarah was different. She participated in daily physical therapy with a tenacity that was both awe-inspiring and humbling. Every step she took with her prosthetic leg, every bead of sweat, echoed a story of triumph over weakness, a narrative that reaffirmed her unwavering spirit. Krill's evenings were spent in contemplation. He pored over the ship's logs, medical records, personal journals, anything that could further feed his curiosity about human nature. The more he read, the more it became evident that humans did not merely survive. They thrived in defiance of every natural law. They converted pain into strength, fear into courage, and loss into wisdom. Every story he encountered became a testament to a resilience that was as enigmatic as it was sublime. One particularly quiet night, as the ship cruised through the silent expanse of space, Krill found himself in the observatory deck, gazing at the galaxy sprawled before him. The stars twinkled like beacons of hope, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the myriad mysteries it held. It was here that Captain Jake found him. Jake stood silently beside Krill, both of them taking in the sight. After a moment, he spoke, his voice a soft rumble in the quiet space. "You've seen a lot, Krill. Learned a lot, but there's something about us humans that's beyond data and logic. Sometimes, it's all about faith and instinct." Krill nodded, understanding dawning on him like the first light of dawn. He had tried to quantify, to reason, to dissect the essence of human resilience. But perhaps, what truly lay at the heart of their strength was something primordial, something that could not be broken down into mere biological responses. It was a confluence of hopes, dreams, and an innate desire to persist against all odds. As days turned into weeks, Krill began to document his findings, not merely as a scientist but as an admirer of the human spirit. His chronicles spoke of their unparalleled physical adaptations but also delved into their emotional and psychological landscapes. He wrote of their songs, their stories, their tears and laughter, the myriad ways in which they found meaning and purpose even in the direst circumstances. The lessons he took from them were eternal. Resilience was not just found in the sinew and bone but in the heart and mind. Each human, regardless of their physical state, harbored an unyielding core, a spark that refused to be extinguished. They were capable of evolving continuously, reshaping not just their bodies but their very existential essence to meld with the universe's ever-changing demands. As the final entry in his chronicles, Krill pondered on a powerful question. If humans could adapt to almost any challenge, what else in this vast, uncharted universe was yet to be discovered, understood, or even conquered? The possibilities were as endless as space itself. With a sense of contentment and reverence, Krill closed his logs, realizing that his journey alongside the humans had been as much about discovering them as it was about discovering himself. He had learned that true strength was a mosaic of experiences etched in the very soul. And that resilience was not just about withstanding storms but also about emerging from them transformed, wiser, and stronger. The Eclipse continued its voyage, a silent witness to countless more adventures. Krill stood at the edge of the vast unknown, filled with an unquenchable curiosity and a newfound respect for the creatures he once sought to study. As he gazed out into the infinity, he felt a profound connection to the stars, each one symbolizing the uncharted territories of the human spirit. And so, The tale of Krill and the humans on the eclipse came to a close, leaving behind a sense of awe and wonder for the endless possibilities that lay ahead in the boundless cosmos. The story closes, urging reflection on the mysterious power of human resilience and adaptability, inviting thoughts of what might yet be discovered in the endless expanse of the universe. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.